everyone, it's Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love helping you create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to get started with this trio of birdhouses. I have mine already sketched out. A little bit of a fence post up top and then 3 birdhouses down below. I have out some white paint, some baby blue paint, and some black paint. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure to it on my palette, which happens to be this plastic plate here. I want all my fibers and my brush to come together so I have a nice chiseled edge. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to stick one of the corners in some white. And I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to start painting in my sky. You don't want to overblend your sky too much. I am going around my fence posts. Because this is sky and maybe there's little clouds up there, you can make these brush strokes a little circular. I'm just trying to get some coverage so far. You don't want to over mix. You want a variety of blue and white in your background for your sky. This is actually an art journal I made myself many years ago. So it has this sewn together binding. And I'm just coming right up to the edge of it. I'm going around my fence post. When we paint in layers. This way, as we work our way up with acrylic paint, as we move on from the background to the foreground and our elements that we want to really pop, if there are things that we need to fix or go over or tweak, we can do that very easily because acrylic paint, if you wait for it to dry, it is very easy to fix. Okay? So I'm just going to come in and put in my background behind all my fence and all my birdhouses. A lot of this is going to be covered up, so I would say don't get too hung up in the background. We're going to be adding some flowers and some leaves and some grasses, and a lot of this is not going to be seen, but you do want to cover up your canvas a bit. Some of my lines aren't that straight, but I'm going to straighten them out when I come back in with my paintbrush. I'm just using the width of my brush here, and I'm just filling in around all my birdhouses now. I did the sky around the fence, and I'm doing the rest of the background. I'm constantly dipping my brush in both colors of paint. If your paint starts to get too white or too blue, then you're going to pick up a different color. If you've got too much blue, you're going to go to white. If you're too much white, you're going to go to blue. And I'm just continuing in here. And like I said, a lot of this is going to get totally covered up. You're not even going to see the background. We just want coverage now on our canvas. You can switch to a different brush when you're squeezing in between the houses here if you like. That is up to you. I'm just going to wing it because I know when I go back and do my houses, I will be able to fix anything that I don't like, that I messed up, that doesn't have a nice corner or straight edge to it. And I'm not going to worry about it right now. I know that's hard. It used to be very hard for me, but trust me when I tell you it's true. Don't get caught up on the background. Do you want your background to be interesting and fun and unique? Yes, of course. But you don't have to get caught up on the background because you made a mistake up here. Nobody's going to see it. Okay, this is all going to get so covered up. You're not even going to see it, and you're going to spend all this time worrying about part of your painting that once you're done, you may even be like, where was that? Okay, so we're not going to worry about that. So we have our background all filled in, and I'm going to wash my brush. I like to squeeze my brush in my ratty painty towel here. If you use a paper towel, an old t-shirt, whatever it is, feel free to do you. But I suggest instead of just wiping off your brush, you don't want water to get stuck up here in the metal part of your brush. When you turn your brush upright, it'll drip out, and that will make a mess. Can you fix it? Yes, but it is more of a pain to fix. So I just as soon take my brush and give it a nice squeeze in my paper towel or whatever it is that I'm using for my artwork. Paper towel, t-shirt, rag. I'm using this old towel. And I'm just going back in. Right now I'm doing the uprights of my fence. I'm just base coating them in white. And then I'm also going to go in and base coat in the horizontal in white. I got paint on my book from something else, I don't remember. But I'm just gonna paint right over that. That's why I use this protector in here, so I don't get the bottom sheets of whatever I have in my book messed up. Now when I drew this in, I felt like my fence on that side was a little too thin, so I made these posts here wider, and I'll be able to fix that. I'll be able to cover over the blue with some more white. It's just going to take a second coat or two. Okay. Okay, I have everything base coated in, all my posts, and now I'm going to base coat in my horizontal bars or whatever you call these on the fence. I did the ones that go up and down, and now I'm going to paint in. I guess these are the railings. I don't really know. I'm not going to worry about it. And again, this is just a base coat, and you may be like, why are you painting it white? It's already white. Because I want to. This is a different white. It's going to help me blend when I come back with my black to make a little bit of gray. I'm doing 2 coats over here because I want to cover that spot. I want to cover this blue. Okay. Now I'm going to put the corner of my brush in some black and pick up some white. I'm going to kind of mix it in here a little bit. Okay? I have a little bit of black and a little bit of gray going on. And now I'm just going to pull my brush across with the black to the bottom. Some white, some black. And paint this in. This is going to be a little bit of a faux wood finish on our fence here. Okay? So white, some black. My white goes to the top. And the black part of my brush goes to the bottom. And I'm painting in the cross strokes first. And you want all your lines for your fence to go horizontal. It's okay if you get a little bit on the uprights because we're going to do those second. If you start to get a little too much black, don't add black next time. Just keep picking up white. Pick up some nice fresh white. I'm always keeping the black that's on my brush to the bottom of the fence and the white towards the top. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I want to pick up fresh white. I need a little bit of black for down here. Don't worry if you get some on your birdhouses, because we're going to cover all that up when we go to our birdhouses. We paint in stages, starting with the tops. So it's like we're painting from the bottom up. And then this part here. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my white, a little bit of black, and where do I want my shady part over here? So I'm going to use my black to the right. And paint in my fence post. So we want the nice point. And then we want the black to the right, because that's where we're going to have our shadows. Okay, pick up lots of white, tiny bit of black. We can't see this point up here because it goes off the page. But we want our fence posts, our uprights, to now be in front of our ones that go across. I'm gonna turn this a little bit, so when I come up here, lay my brush nice and flat, pull up with my black to the outside, to the right. Okay. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put in our posts. And they just post a little too thick, but we'll fix that later with some glue. And I'm going to wash my brush again. Okay, we'll give it a dry. So now we have our background in, we have our fence in, and we have our posts in for our birdhouses. Now I'm going to make a little bit of some dark paint. I meant dark gray paint over here. So I'm mixing up some of the white and some of the black, and I'm getting a nice gray. And I'm going to paint in the roofs of the birdhouses. Again, the first thing I want to do is just get coverage in here. Okay? Just want to get some coverage. Make sure it's all covered up. Then I'm going to go back in on this roof. I want my brush strokes to be vertical. So all my brush strokes are going to come down. Okay? I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on the corner of my brush. And I'm going to make these roof slats, almost like our roof has maybe some metal on it, some corrugated metal. And it has a little bit of design to it coming down. Okay? And then I'm going to paint in under here on the eave. The next roof I want to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to mix in a little bit more black with my gray. I'm going to fill in this part of the roof here. When I want to get nice straight lines, I stand my brush up, and then I'm just filling in this area. Okay. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of blue to my gray here. Give a little bit of some gray blue to paint this roof. And of course we're going to need some shading and highlighting, but right now we're just color blocking. We're just filling in our colors where they need to be. I want to have a little bit more white here. I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to wash my brush. I want to get out, I guess, fawn. Maybe a little bit of fawn. Fawn is like a tan color. I'm going to mix it with white and lighten it up a little bit. And I want a little bit of green to make it kind of mossy. Okay. I'm sticking with my 1/2 inch wide flat brush. Just giving it a wash and a rinse. I'm going to dry off my paintbrush. I'm going to pick up some white. I'm going to pick up some of this tan, and I'm going to mix it in. I want to lighten up this tan fawn color and pick up some white. And now I'm going to come back to my birdhouses, and my strokes for my birdhouses are going to be vertical because I want my birdhouses to look like they're wood. I'm going to go right over the hole. If I need to come back and draw it again, I will. Otherwise, I might be able to see my pencil strokes and fill in the birdhouse hole after I paint. I think I will be able to, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm trying to make my birdhouse be as squared off as possible, with nice straight edges. I pick up the tan and the white every single time. Nice flat line for the bottom, but then when I come back in here, my strokes are all vertical. We want our birdhouse to look faux wood. Okay, I'm going to dip in a little corner with this green, and I'm going to start pulling in this green a little bit. And you can do as much or as little as you want. You can add a lot of green. It's almost like it's out in the forest. The wood's gotten a little bit mossy and taken on this little bit of a green hue to it. Put it up here under the eave for the most part, because we'll say that that's where it doesn't dry. Okay. I'm just going to go back into my tan and white and work on the next birdhouse. I'm going to come right down the middle with this one. Pick up some white, pick up some tan. Even though my top part has the angle to it, I can fix my strokes later. I still want my strokes to be vertical, up and down, up and down. So if I'm coming, I'll fix my line, but then I'm going to pull my brush straight down. I want this house to be a little bit lighter, so I picked up a little bit more white on my brush, and I'm just going to pull it down. Again, we just want to make sure that our brush strokes aren't all wonky and they're going in one direction. This house I'm going to make mostly tan and green. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white later. I like the way these colors look together, and it's making these houses look a little bit more rustic and old. When I want to get the nice straight line, I turn my brush and use it on the chisel edge, and then I come back to using it on the flat. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. I'm gonna take just the black paint. I think this brush is a good size. Just the black paint. I'm gonna load my brush with the black. I'm gonna come in here and I'm just going to go one way, and then I'm gonna go the other way and paint in the circles for our birdhouse. Pick up some nice fresh black. I'm going to turn my brush one way. I'm going to pick it up, then I'm going to turn it the other way. If you want to trace something in the bottom of the paint bottle, it's totally up to you. If you want to draw your circle in again, if you can't see it, that's up to you. I can still kind of see mine. I know where the placement is, and I'm just putting in my circles. Okay, and then I'm going to wash my brush. And give it a little rinse. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my liner brush a little bit. And I want to start cleaning up my fence. So I'm going to put white line on the top. I'm putting white lines to the left side. Do the same thing down here. And this way, if your lines weren't so straight before, we're cleaning them all up now. I'm going to put a little bit of light down here on the eave. So up closer to the house, it's a little bit darker, but down here it's a little bit lighter. Then I'm going to go into my black, and we're going to put the black at the bottom of the fence. I didn't even wash my brush. I'm just coming right in here with the black. It's a very, very deep gray. And I'm bringing in a line, cleaning up the bottom of my fence in all the spots. Do the same thing. Oh, I was going to fix that. So do the same thing here. And here. Put white on this side. Here. And here. And then I wanted to make this one a little bit more narrow on this side. So I'm going to go back to my blue. And I'm going to cover this up. See how easy that is? And now I went from having the pole for my birdhouse being really, really thick to being much thinner now. Go back to my liner. Add a little bit of black to this side. And then a little bit of white to this side. Okay. Back to my white. And I'm going to put a little bit of a white line here. See how I'm using my pinky? Okay. I'm going to pick up some black. I'm going to make a parallel line right up here with my black. And then we want to come, oh, went a little too far, come across and have a little bit this black line here. I'll fill that in. I want to bring the eave of this house out just a little bit. Have it hanging off. So I mixed a little bit gray and I'm just filling in this spot. Okay, but I want to take my liner brush, I'm going to twirl it between my fingers, and I'm going to pull a little bit of light lines. I'm going to try and keep them as parallel as possible to show our roof on an angle up there. Okay, so that's the one roof on a slant. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do the same thing. Make a black line there. Make a black line there. Black line up the middle. And then again, gently, I have my pinky anchoring my hand down, and I'm pulling these lines from the center. That one got a little wonky to the edge. Ooh. And then the outline. Again, this is why I said, don't get caught up in your backgrounds being perfect, because you can come back in and fix anything. I'm gonna mix a little bit of gray, and I want to come up here and we'll grab a little bit more white to fill in what would be the front of our birdhouse up here. So if you're looking at this one from the front, I'm just using a mixture of black and white on my brush. I don't want to over blend. I want to see white, I want to see black, I want to see gray, and I'm just filling in this part so it's the front of the birdhouse. Okay, and then over here we want to get a little bit of shadow under this part, so I'm adding a little bit of black. And then maybe a little bit up to the roof line where the fence is in the back, and then that side. Okay, So we have our birdhouses all pretty much based in, and now we're going to start cleaning them up a bit, adding a little bit of detail, and then I'm going to add some flowers and some leaves and some vines. Okay, so I have my brown here. I can get a darker brown, or I can just grab some black and mix it with my fawn here, which I think I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab a little bit of black, mix it with my fawn, and get a little bit of a darker color going here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I want to shade or darken up the one side of the birdhouse. This one in the middle seems to be tucked in here, so maybe we'll do both sides. And then across the bottom. Then I'm going to get the dark color again over here. This time I'm going to add a little bit of green to it. And we're going to do this side. Now I went too far with my green before on my fence. See what I did there? I just made my birdhouse a little bit wider. Instead of coming back in and trying to fix it, I had to put some shading over here anyway. So I just went and made my birdhouse a tiny bit wider. Cover that up. Take some of the regular green. Haven't even washed my brush. I'm going to add a green line to this side, and then my tan, I'll come across the bottom. And since I put my arm in the black paint before, let me just fix that for that shadow over there. Then I want this side over here to be white and light. So I'm going to come back in here with some nice fresh white and put it in there. Then I think I'll mix the green again with the tan for this side. And go back to my tan and do the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. While that's drying, I'm going to get out a darker green. I'm going to add a little bit of black to it to darken it up a bit. Make more like a deep green, a forest green, a sap green. I want to wipe off my liner brush, and then I want to give it a nice twirl and get a nice point in there. Okay. And I'm going to give us a little bit of a vine. Get some more paint. And you can make this as full or as sparse as you want to. Another one up here between the houses. Another one out here off to the side for now. Okay. I'm going to wash my brush, and now I'm going to get a medium, look at this one, medium round. Okay. Let's put out some more of this sap color, nice and fresh. So now I have this sappy color, I have this pretty dark green, then I have this bright green. I'm going to go right into my sappy color first with my medium round brush. And I'm going to put some leaves on here, some foliage. And I'm just using the brush. I'm coming on an angle. When I get close to the stem, I pull up. So I put down my brush, I pull towards the stem, and then I pull it up. I put down my brush, I pull towards the stem, and I pick it up. This way, as you get towards the stem, your leaves get a little bit thinner where they attach. I work my way down. They're smaller at the top. It's a triangle shape. The same thing here. This one goes off the page a little bit, so you just have to be a little bit more creative on the side. But the same thing. We're pushing down, and then we're picking up. Pushing down and picking up. I'm using the brush. A little more paint. Okay. As I get closer to the stem, it gets a little bit more narrow. I'm going to wash my brush. Now we're going to just start adding in a bunch of leaves and some fillers. I'm putting 2 different colors of green on my brush. I'm picking up the moss green and then the green that we created here and the bright green. And I'm just going to come in, I'm going to start adding in some leaves. It's okay if they go over the top of the birdhouses. That's how they grow, right on the top. And up here at the edge, we want some as they're like going off the page. I'm going to turn my picture a little bit. And then you can put as many or as few as you want. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to grab my darkest green that I made. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put stems in my leaves. This is why I say our paintings take stages. And you might have been saying, what leaves? When you come back and you add those stems in, it changes everything. It's all in the details. I'm doing the same thing here. I'm using a very light touch, the darkest paint, and I'm pulling in little tiny stems in each of my leaves. You can pick up some white too if you want, and put a little bit of white highlight to one side. Didn't even wash my brush. Okay, get a more stem. I'm going to come in here with this stem. And we're going to put little purple flowers on these. I need some purple. Here it is. Some on the corner of my brush. Oh, my metal's wet. As I tell you guys all the time, you don't want to have water in the metal of your brush. It'll drip down. Okay, pick up a little bit of white here. Purple and white. Okay. I'm going to come close to my stem. I'm going to push, and then I'm going to lift. Close to the stem, I'm going to push, and then I'm going to lift. Anybody know what these are called? A little bit on the stem, push and lift. A little bit on the stem, push and lift. And then you want them to get a little bit smaller as you go up. If it's a little bit harder for you to use this brush and use less pressure, you can switch brushes. Okay, it is up to you. Just want to make a little curly Q up there. Then some little bit of buds on this side, and our flowers on the other side. Okay. Again, this is your art. You can make it as full or as sparse as you want to. There's no rules. I'm just going along as I go along. Pull another one up here. Put out a little bit of burgundy too. I like to mix the burgundy with white. It gets a really, really soft, rosy pink. So I'm going to pick up some burgundy. Let's get some fresh white. Some burgundy. Pick up some white. I'm just going to tap in the top, burgundy and white. And now I'm going to start filling in this cluster of flowers. Every time I pick up some burgundy and some white on the tip of my brush, add that in, add a little bit more in over here on this side. Okay. Wash my brush again. And put some big leaves down here at the bottom as well. I'm just using a variety of greens. I could get out a million color greens. It's up to you if you want to do that. Now I'm just using the flat brush. It gives a little bit of a different kind of leaf. Same thing. I made the stem. I'll show you again. Here we go. Made a stem, but then I'm just pushing with my leaf on the flat. That one could be up and behind the house. And again, I want to get my darker paint. And pull in some stems. Now my liner brush, I'm going to come back over to my white and my black, make a little bit of gray, a little bit light gray. I'm going to make these little crescent moon shapes inside the holes for the birdhouses. Okay? So, I'm going to start up here really thin. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, make it thick. And as I come around, I'm going to make it thin again. Okay? We start up here thin at the top. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on my liner brush to make it thick around the edge. And make it thin again towards the bottom. And then the last one. Thin, thick, and then thin. That was a little awkward. I'm going to fix it. Okay. We want to give our hole a little bit of that three-dimensional look. Okay. And now that, just this one, our birdhouses have dried, I'm going to come in, I'm going to give it a little bit of planking. Okay. It needs to be a little darker. Okay. Going down. It helps when your painting is dry in most places and you can use your pinky to help hold your hand steady. I'm going to get some white. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight. Not too much. Over here I'm making a very light green. So I have the mossy green. I'm adding a little bit of white to it. And I'm going to use that here. Okay, I'm going to rinse. And I think there we have it. I mean, I could sit here and paint this and play with it all day. Could add a little bit of birds to it. I can add tons more leaves to it. I'm just filling in this stalk down here a little bit. I could add quite a bit to it, but I think I'm going to call it done. So I hope you enjoyed painting this little birdhouse scene with me. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please do, and I will see you next time. Have a great night, everyone.